The camera flickers to life with a soft click. A low hum of crickets fills the night, blending with the steady crackle of the campfire. The lens captures two young men sitting on opposite logs, their faces flickering in and out of shadow as the flames dance between them. "All right, guys," Alex says, adjusting the camera's angle. He grins, eyes glinting under the glow of the fire. Day one of our epic backcountry camping trip. No cell service, no people, just nature. And my dumbass best friend, Ryan. Ryan, mid-sip from a flask, flips him off. "And ghosts," he adds. "Don't forget the ghosts." Alex snorts. "Oh yeah, the Olympic National Forest is totally haunted." Ryan smirks. "Dude, Google it. Whole place is a damn Bermuda Triangle. People go missing here all the time." Alex shakes his head and turns the camera toward the trees. Beyond the fire's reach, the woods stretch into darkness, dense, endless. It's quiet, too quiet. "All right," Ryan says, voice dropping to a whisper, "Story time." The two trade urban legends, ghost stories and Bigfoot encounters, their laughter cutting through the still night. The fire burns low. The whiskey dwindles. At some point, Alex places the camera on a rock, pointing it toward the trees, letting it record nothing but the shifting shadows. Then, around midnight, the fog rolls in. Thick, fast, unnatural. It moves like smoke, curling between the trees, swallowing the world beyond the firelight. The crickets stop. Even the flames seem to burn lower, like the fog is suffocating them. Ryan rubs his arms. "Dude, it got cold." Alex exhales, watching his breath turn to mist. "Yeah, real cold." The camera, forgotten on its perch, keeps recording. Then, the sound. A clicking noise. Faint at first, like something tapping against a tree, but it's steady, rhythmic, coming closer. Ryan stiffens. "You hear that?" Alex doesn't answer. The camera picks up his shallow breathing as he turns toward the fog. There, just beyond the fire's reach, stands a shape, tall, unmoving, a shadow against the mist. Ryan stands slowly. "Hey, hello?" His voice wavers. The thing moves, not forward, not back, just twitches. A jerk of the head, a shift of its limbs too long and too thin. Its joints seem to bend the wrong way. Then they see it. The grin, too wide, too many teeth, too much hunger. Alex lets out a nervous laugh. That's not real, right?" Ryan doesn't speak. His breath hitches. The firelight catches his face, his pupils blown wide, his hands shaking. The thing twitches again, then it takes a step. Not a normal step, a flicker, like a missing frame in a film. 1 second it's standing at the tree line. The next, it's closer. The clicking grows louder. Alex grabs the camera. The screen blurs as he zooms in. Black holes where its eyes should be. It grins, and then it rushes them. The camera jolts. The footage turns into chaos, branches snapping, leaves crunching, breathless cursing. "Run!" Ryan yells. The firelight disappears as they sprint into the woods. The clicking follows, faster, closer. Alex's breath comes in ragged gasps. The camera swings wildly, catching glimpses of twisted trees and thick fog. Then Ryan screams. The camera whips around. Ryan is gone. "Ryan!" Alex's voice is raw. The fog is swallowing the trees whole. And there, just ahead, something moves. A shape looms in the mist, tall and wrong. It flickers, closer, click, click, click. Alex runs. The camera shakes violently, recording only blurred trees and his ragged gasps. The clicking is right behind him. Then, a hand. Gray, too long, too many fingers. It grips Alex's shoulder. The screen fills with static. The last frame? A single flickering shot of the forest floor. The camera lies abandoned in the dirt, still recording. The fog thickens, swallowing the world. And just before the video cuts out, a figure steps into the frame. It leans down, grinning, and clicks. The camera was found 2 days later. Alex and Ryan weren't. The camera was found at the bottom of a ravine, half buried in loose dirt and pine needles. A GoPro, scratched to hell but still intact, its small red light blinking weakly like a dying firefly. The man who found it, just some weekend hiker out looking for solitude, figured he'd stumbled onto somebody's lost gear. Maybe some YouTuber trying to capture his wilderness adventure, some influencer who took a wrong step too close to the edge. He wiped the dirt off the screen and pressed play. Static at first, a garbled sound like wind whipping through trees. Then a face appeared, pale and sweat-slicked, eyes too wide. A man maybe in his early 30s, unshaven. The kind of guy who might have looked normal once but now looked like something had chewed him up and spit him back out. His lips were cracked and his breath was fast, uneven. He stared into the camera, eyes darting like he expected something to come lunging out of the trees behind him. "If anyone finds this," his voice was barely above a whisper, "please, don't come looking for me." He swallowed hard, licked his lips. "It won't let me leave." The wind howled through the trees, bending them at their spines. The man, Nathan, his name was Nathan according to the metadata, flinched like the sound hurt him. He shifted, bringing his knees to his chest. "I don't know how long I've been out here," he murmured. "My phone died. My watch stopped working. I think I've been out here for 3 days, but maybe more. Maybe a lot more." He let out a breathless, humorless chuckle. "I keep walking. I follow the compass, I swear I do, but every time I think I'm close to getting out, I end up back here." The camera shook as he moved it, angling it toward a tree. The bark was rough and dark, gnarled like something had gotten its claws into it. But the important thing was the mark. An X carved deep with a hunting knife. Fresh. A bright wound in the wood. "I made this," Nathan whispered. "I put this here myself." His voice dropped lower, barely audible. "But yesterday, when I came back, it was gone. The tree was—" He broke off, rubbing a hand over his face. "I don't know. I don't know what's happening." For a long moment, he just sat there, staring past the camera into the forest. His breathing slowed. The wind died down, and then a sound. Soft at first, but growing. A clicking noise. Nathan went rigid. His whole body locked up, shoulders squared like he was bracing for a punch. His eyes snapped toward the trees. The clicking continued, rhythmic, steady. The GoPro caught the moment his pupils dilated. "It's back," he whispered. His hands shook as he scrambled to grab the camera. The footage blurred, jerking wildly as he swung the lens toward the tree line. For a second, just a second, it looked empty. But then, a shadow moved, just beyond the trees. A shape, too thin, too tall, standing just outside the reach of the light. Nathan sucked in a breath, a sharp little gasp of air that sounded like a man trying to keep from screaming. "No," he whimpered. "No, no, not again." The clicking grew louder. The video glitched, just a flicker. But when it came back, the shape was closer. Nathan made a sound deep in his throat, something between a sob and a whimper. The footage lurched as he turned, bolting into the darkness. For the next 2 minutes, the camera captured nothing but chaos. Trees flashed past in a blur of motion. The ground tilted. Branches lashed against his arms, cutting into exposed skin. His breathing turned ragged, sharp gasps between heavy footfalls. But no matter how fast he ran, the clicking followed. Steady, measured. It wasn't running. It didn't need to run. Nathan's breathing broke into panicked sobs. The camera jostled wildly, catching glimpses of the sky through the branches. The moon, a sliver of pale light. The treetops, a tangle of black limbs. And then it happened. A sharp cry, a misstep. The footage tilted violently as Nathan fell. The world turned over. The GoPro tumbled through the air, hit the ground hard. The screen cracked. Static washed over the footage in jagged waves. Nathan's scream cut off abruptly, and then silence. For a long time, the camera recorded nothing but the stillness of the forest. The wind whispered through the trees. Something moved in the distance, a small animal maybe, a rustling in the undergrowth. Then, footsteps, slow, deliberate, crunch, crunch, crunch. A shape moved into frame. It stepped out from the darkness too carefully, its limbs unfolding in strange, deliberate motions, like a spider testing its legs after a long sleep. It was tall, unnaturally so, with arms too long for its body. The head cocked at a strange angle, as if listening. And then, a smile. Wide, too wide. The clicking started again, but this time, it was different. Closer. It knelt beside the camera. And then Nathan was there. His face came into frame. Wrong. Blood streaked. His pupils too wide. He was whispering, lips barely moving. "It won't let me leave." The clicking swelled, filling the speakers. Nathan blinked once. The thing behind him did not. And then, the video ended. The hiker who found the camera turned it over to the police. They organized a search, combed the woods, sent dogs out into the ravine. They never found Nathan Carter. The official report listed him as missing, presumed dead. His family demanded the footage be analyzed, scrutinized frame by frame. Experts were brought in, people who understood digital forensics, who could explain the glitches. The final conclusion: the footage was corrupted, an error, a malfunction, nothing but a glitch. At least, that's what they said. But late at night, when the wind rattles the trees, some people swear they still hear it. The clicking, and a whisper drifting through the trees. "It won't let me leave."